Tell me about, what are DSS responsibilities? I have a lot of people hitting me up about what DSS does. I worked for DEA for 25 years. I never came in contact with you guys. So what do you guys do?
So the Diplomatic Security Service basically has a domestic mission and a foreign mission. Foreign, we protect people, property, and information in our consulates and embassies. So that means protecting our diplomats, the information that is there, and the property, the embassies themselves. Back here in the States, we do passport and visa fraud investigations. We protect the Secretary of State. We protect other foreign diplomats that come to the United States. We are involved in the Joint Terrorism Task Forces. We're in a bunch of different task forces, but that's pretty much our mission.
So when you say passport and visa fraud, I know that Homeland Security covers that. So is there something specifically that you guys do differently than what they do?
No, not necessarily. We both have the authority to investigate passport and visa fraud.
Okay.
And consequently, we work very closely with Homeland Security Investigations, HSI. We work together in joint cases a lot of times because we have the same equities in that situation. So we bring to bear our overseas capabilities, if you will, and knowledge, and they bring to bear what they have with DHS. So I've been involved in a lot of investigations with HSI, or oversaw a lot when I was an assistant special agent in charge at our field office in Miami.
Okay.
So I was involved a lot with working with HSI.
So I would imagine the goal of a DSS agent is to go overseas, to work the embassies. Is there ever a situation, or have you ever heard of just somebody being with the DSS and just working in the United States the whole time?
Yes and no. I mean, when you first come in, that's the mission statement. You're told you have worldwide availability. You could go anywhere that we deem necessary, depending on world events. But when you become a DSS agent, and you've got 4 or 5 years in, there's also the ability to become an 1811, because we're a 2501. We got a different designation than most special agents in the United States. 2501 means our overseas capability, but we also have 1811s, which is normally what special agents are if you're working for HSI or any other federal law enforcement agency. But what we do is have some 1811 positions in our field offices, so that gives it that they stay there. They never go overseas once they become that 1811, and they're like the institutional knowledge for that office. Because don't forget, our ASACs and SACs and supervisors, our traditional DSS agents still come and go, but we're always going to have maybe 1 or 2 1811s in a field office who never lose that institutional knowledge.
So that's interesting, because I always assumed that all DSS agents were 1811s. So that's not the case.
We're 2501s.
So what's the difference between the authority that you have as a 2501 versus an 1811?
I don't think there's any difference, honestly. I think what it is, it basically designates that we work for the Foreign Service.
Okay.
That's why it's called the 2501.
Yeah, because I know you guys
I don't know how they came up with that designation number or whatever, but it means we work for the Foreign Service.
Because you guys are in a different pay scale, right? You're not.
We're in the FS pay scale,
as
opposed to the GS pay scale.
If you go to a 1811 as a DSS, are you still on the FS pay
No,
scale?
you're a GS. Now you're a GS.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was I want to say back around 2010 or so. That's when DSS decided to put that program together. And as for the reasons I think I mentioned, is because of just to have these guys remain in those field offices, to have that institutional knowledge, so when you get brand new DSS agents who come into an office, they can get trained up by these guys on investigations. Because quite frankly, we have a lot of strengths, but one of our weaknesses is a lot of our agents don't get involved in investigations. They may in an embassy here and there, but they never really do a criminal investigation in some instances. So I think that was the idea behind this putting in 1811s, to make sure that our new agents are coached up on investigation.